Okay, what's up, everyone? Swinging Bull here with PB Alerts, and we just heard the closing bell to the regular session. This is the earnings stream I do every week, and we have earnings for Upstart, ticker symbol UPST. Usually it has a big move, past few earnings. We'll go over that in a minute, but they usually have big price reactions to the earnings data. And then we have Supermicro Computer, ticker symbol SMCI. SMCI reports at 4:20 p.m. Eastern, I think, and Upstart's at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. So we'll get Upstart's data in the next 5 minutes or so. Got a couple minutes to burn. Apple and Tesla on the heat map were kind of the ones sticking out like a sore thumb today. So Apple nice and green. Tesla took a hit today, of course. Other than that, kind of a mixed bag with everything else. Just taking a quick peek at the sector information. This is kind of what I was saying before, not really painting a clear picture. You got tech green today, but you also have some risk off sectors up at the top, and it's just kind of all mixed together, not really painting a clear picture there. So a little bit of indecision in the markets. Let's go to Upstart first. So yeah, they report at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. So we got a couple more minutes to burn here. The forecast or consensus for EPS negative 0.03, and forecast for revenue for Upstart 180.06 million according to earnings whispers. So we'll see what the data ends up coming in at. And coming into the earnings, they're trading just below the anchored VWAP. So we'll see if the earnings data affects the price. I personally think we'll probably get a decent reaction one way or the other. Just kind of looking at some previous data here. Their last earnings from November 7th, they had a 46% move to the upside when they reported then, and that was one day after. So stock price went from 55 and some change to $81 the next day. So big reaction there. The earnings before that, they had another big reaction, a positive one, 39.5% the next day. They went from 23 and some change to 33.30 a share. So and then the times before that, they had some negative reactions. But you know, I was looking at the expected move for Friday's expiration. We'll go back to the candlesticks here so we can look at that while I'm talking. Expected move on Upstart for Friday's expiration, which is Valentine's Day, is plus or minus $14. So you know, I think there's going to be a pretty decent move here, and we'll find out here in just a few minutes. I'll zoom into the 1 minute chart and while we await this earnings data. And for SMCI, Supermicro Computer, we got about another 15 minutes before they technically release the data. Kiwi on Discord says DoorDash earnings as well. Yeah, let's take a look and see what DoorDash is doing here. We go to see what earnings whispers has them, you know, the forecast for EPS and revenue and stuff like that. Just give me 1 second for earnings whispers. It's kind of buffering right now. Okay, DoorDash is ticker symbol dash. Okay, let's pull this back up real quick. And okay, there we go. DoorDash. And we'll talk about that just for a few minutes here. I'll wait for that to load up. And let me pull up their reactions to the previous earnings. I always like to look at that stuff. Let's go here. Okay, earnings whispers. There's probably a lot of people on there right now, but that's okay. Let me go back to the sticks, and then I want to pull up previous reactions on DoorDash. Still waiting for Upstart. Okay, we're getting a little bit of flicker action on Upstart. And again, the data should be released in about another minute. So let me refresh my other screen here, and as soon as that data comes out, I'll post it on YouTube for everyone for sure. And let me go back over here. So plus or minus $14 expected move. Let's see what it comes in at. There was a lot of calls right before the regular session bell rang for the closing. A lot of calls coming in on the tape. Let's see here. Got some 74 strike calls, calls in the 60s. Okay, here we go. we have a reaction. We're getting a reaction on SMCI early too. I don't know if that data was possibly leaked early because they're not supposed to report till 4:20 p.m. Eastern. But let's look at Upstart. I think a lot of people are here for Upstart. I'm sure there's a lot of people here for SMCI as well. But Upstart, this looks like the rising star right now, up $12 per share. It closed the regular session at $67.34 a share, down 5% on the day. Tidbit of info there, but you know, they downtrended pre-market a little bit and kind of throughout the day leading up to this, but they're getting a nice positive reaction. So close the regular session at $67.34 a share. Now they're sitting at 79 bucks and some change here in after hours, up 16%. We were looking at the data earlier. I'll just flip back just real quick here on the previous earnings, and you know, the past two earnings, they've had spectacular positive reactions. 46% to the upside last time, and the time before that, 39%. So it's kind of following the same MO here, isn't it? So here it is here, up 18% in after hours. And yeah, Richard on Twitter, up and away. You know, if you had calls, it's looking like it's probably going to work out pretty good for you. I don't want to speak too soon. But let me just refresh my other screen and see if we got some data I can post for everyone. Just give me 1 second here. We got a lot of people on Twitter making some predictions. Adjusted a bit on Twitter. Thinking might be enough momentum to take this to the $80 range. And I mean, it's sitting at 79 right now, so we'll see. Let me check something else real quick. Yeah, deep on Twitter. Yeah, 90 or 40. I mean, based on the previous reactions, you know, it's probably one or the other, right? Let me just see here. Vegan Hippo on Twitter. Implied move. $85 to $90 after ER target. Well, we'll see. Let me just see here. And the earnings call with this the CEO, which his name is Dave Gerard, and the CFO. This is for Upstart. That earnings call takes place at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. So I'll let everyone know how to get to that earnings call. SMCI had a negative reaction just now, all the way down to 31 bucks after closing the regular session at 38.70, and now, you know, that I'm not sure if that was the real reaction. Little reverse Uno on SMCI after dropping down to 31. It's now back up here at 38. So had some people buying the dip there. Let me zoom in the 1 minute chart on that. Yeah, definitely some dip buyers stepped into the picture there on SMCI. But let me go back to Upstart real quick. And let me go over here. And again, I'll show everyone how to get to the earnings call with the CEO and CFO for Upstart. SMCI catching a little bit here after getting a negative reaction. We're going to talk about that here in a second. So their data must be out. It must have came out early. But just real quick for SMCI, EPS, the forecast was roughly negative 0.04. Came in at positive 26. That's a pretty extreme beat on EPS, y'all. So let's talk about the revenue. The forecast on revenue was 181.9 million. It came in at 218.96 million. I mean, these are pretty solid beats here on both lines for Upstart. And of course, you know, you can see the price action firsthand live here. It definitely caught a bid, sitting here up over $11 per share in after hours, holding steady around 16.5% appreciation on the shares in after hours here. So, and it's holding up. So it's not like, you know, kind of what SMCI did where, you know, sometimes that initial move's not the real move and kind of reverses rather quickly when that happens. That did not happen with Upstart. It looks like the initial move is the move, and it's holding up here. Working on the 5th 1 minute candle print after the data got released, and it's still kind of hanging out up here. Might you know, pull back and take a little breather. You know, that's just healthy price action. So if you see it come down a little bit, don't get too freaked out. Of course, let me go 2-chart view on Webull just real quick. I just want to draw a couple things on here. We'll go to, let me put Upstart over here. Let's see, SPY was making higher lows going into the close there. Okay, here's UPST. All right, and we'll put SMCI over here because SMCI basically did a reverse Uno, and it's heading up now. There's some volatility there. The current 1 minute candle is kind of flickering a little bit. Order book's going nuts. Okay, Upstart. I want to draw a Fibonacci on here and just kind of see where that 25% pullback would roughly be at. I'll just start at the bottom of this green candle when the data came out. Okay, so it's sitting right around 38% retrace. That's around 75 bucks a share. Next level of interest around $74. That'd be 50% retrace from the initial pump. Definitely would like this holding 72 bucks. Okay, that would bring us to the golden fib. So, you know, like I said, don't be surprised if we see a little pullback because that was a pretty extreme 1 minute candle that printed when the data got released. So, you know, pulling back a little bit is healthy. Just I would definitely want it to stay above around 72 bucks. And then I'd be pretty happy with that as far as the bulls are concerned. So it looks like it's trying to bounce around this 38% retrace level, around $75 a share. Let's see if it can pop back up and make a new high in after hours. The current high in after hours is $79.95 per share. It looks like UPST's caught a bid, and this looks like it's going to turn out to be a positive reaction. Yeah, David on YouTube, UPST hitting headlines. Yeah, it is. Investors are liking the data that came out. Obviously, the chart's reacting positively to that. So, you know, they've just got some good data coming out. And also an interesting fact on why investors are taking the data so positively. They reported some numbers about their default rates. Their default rates on, you know, UPST is, you know, they do loans and stuff like that. We can just go to the profile. They're in banking services, services sector, if you will. They're artificial intelligence lending marketplace, right? So anyways, one of the big pieces of data why investors are taking this so positively is their default rates are down across the board. Okay, that's a big deal for a company in this line of business. Let's switch over to SMCI just for a second. I do want to show a couple images. This is directly from Upstart. Okay, and just want to show this image here, kind of get a bird's eye view of what the earnings kind of looked like, and this was Q4 of last year. And of course, the earnings call with the CEO at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. You know, they're going to go over, probably talk a lot about Q1 of this year and possibly fiscal year of 2025. And that's what the call with the CEO and CFO is all about. That starts in about 15 minutes. But revenue, 219 million. Now, this is Q4 summary of 2024. 56% year over year growth on revenue. That's pretty amazing. Income from operations improved dramatically. Was negative 47.5. Now it's just negative 4.8. And contribution profit margin, 61%, kind of came in line there versus the Q4 of 2023, which would have been 1 year prior to that number. Net income still down there, but big improvement from Q4 of 2023. You can see there on the chart there. And 91% of loans fully automated and 93% of instant approvals converted to funded loans. That's a huge approval rate. Payment transition model, increased model accuracy by considering intermediate loan and delinquency states. 61% sequential growth in auto loan originations to 43 million. 1.3 billion in new commitments from existing capital partners to purchase loans. So that's really good there for you know, new commitments from existing capital. 59% sequential growth in HELOC. Okay, so that's 59% on that, and that's obviously home equity line of credit. So we've known for quite a few years that there's a lot of homeowners sitting on a pretty big chunk of equity in their real estate holdings, and as you can see from Upstart, a lot of people took advantage of that equity and got lines of credit against their equity in their homes. So pretty interesting information from Upstart. Seems mostly positive. And yeah, thanks David on YouTube. I missed it, but UPST just made a new high in after hours. So I forget who it was on Twitter that was predicting UPST into the 80s if certain data was released and we saw certain growth. And again, that delinquency rate investors are loving that. Of course, the more delinquencies, it's going to hurt Upstart. So this Fibonacci I just drew, this is kind of invalidated now. I'm just going to delete it for now. I just like drawing them. If it starts pulling back a little bit, then we have some easy levels we can see on the chart. That it doesn't really take a rocket scientist to look at it. So not too confusing there. But made a new high, so it's still going, folks. Let me look at this order book. Oh yeah, huge buy side imbalance on this order book. That's level 2 data on Webull. There's buyers are stepping up to the plate. No probs on this. Let me go out of to a bigger view here. This is the daily chart. So wow, look at this chart, weekly chart. Wow, look at this thing, y'all. Jesus. Okay, so relative previous high was $88.95, right? We just zoom out a little bit more here. And believe it or not, at one point in time, this thing was at $400. Can you believe that? Usually when you see something like that on a chart, we're like looking for a reverse split, right? There's no way this thing was $400 and then it was trading at 12 bucks, just a few years ago. And it's like I'm trying to find a reverse split and I'm not seeing it. So this is like, one of the exceptions where yes, this stock was trading in the $400. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not going to be like a Yahoo Finance article and say, oh, look at all this upside to 400. That's not how I roll. But definitely catching the bid now, up over 20% in after hours. Obviously there was resistance around 89 bucks not too long ago. This was the middle of December. That was a level of supply. And there was some rejections there and kind of pulled back quite a bit from that level. Hit around, it was technically $88.95 a share. That was on December 13th. And, this thing pulled all the way back to 55 and some change after that. So, that'd be a level of interest for me because we know there's sellers up there kind of just waiting, right? According to price action from mid-December. So trading at $81 in after hours right now. Not too far off from that basically 89 bucks. Let's go back to intraday chart because we can't see after hours price action on Webull if you're looking at the daily chart, so let me go 15-minute and then boom, here we go. So it did tap $82.97. It is starting to pull back a little bit. This is a 15-minute chart. We can go 5 minutes, see what that looks like. Pardon me 1 second. Someone's calling me. I'll just put them on, they can leave a message. And we got over 2,000 people tuning in, mixture of Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Welcome, everybody. We're hanging out, having a good time. 4:18 p.m. Eastern. Upstart, ticker symbol UPST, caught a bid, up 20% in after hours. I think it's pretty safe to say congratulations to the UPST bulls, especially if you bought some calls and I mean, everyone should be getting paid on this. I mean, if you know how to trade options, obviously we try and buy options that are at the money or even in the money would be better because we benefit from a better delta and the theta won't affect us as bad when we're in the money. But I mean, even if you bought a call option like in the 70s, I mean, if this holds up, those calls are going to be deep in the money. Let's say you bought a $70 call because this thing ended the regular session at $67.34. So even a $70 call shouldn't have been too expensive. And if this holds up here in the 80s and that $70 call ends up in the money when the opening bell rings tomorrow, you should be looking at a pretty nice payday. Just curious with those 7-day calls, and you could have probably just done Friday expiration because you're basically just trading the catalyst. Either you get the move or you don't. The delta of these 7-day calls were 76. Wow. And did I take the gamma off this? I might have. Oh, there's the gamma. Gamma was only 0.01 and a half. So, but yeah, that's a strong delta. And that wasn't even in the money because this is what it looks like before the regular session ended. Delta 77, just think about a $10 move on the underlying. You're going to get paid pretty well on those call options. And even if you bought it a little further out the money, those should still do well. But the idea when we buy calls, maybe just buy it a little bit out of the money, like at the money, with the intention of that call going deep in the money. That's how we're going to make a lot of money on call options, y'all. Of course, if it's way out of the money and we get an extreme fantastical move, then those should pay well also. But I think the safest way of trading options is just try and be as close to the money as you can. Better yet, if you can afford it, buy them in the money because the chances of that call staying in the money are going to be better than the calls out of the money. So, but anyways, we teach all this in the Discord. So if you need help kind of understanding options and the Greeks and the options chains and certain things that we look at and what, how do we determine what expiration date and strike prices we're going to trade? And, that's what we talk about all day, every day in the Discord. So there's some links in the description. If you're looking for a new home, you can sign up for free or just jump right into the pool party. So anyways, let's go to SMCI. All right, I've been yapping enough about Upstart. We obviously got the move, and it caught a bid sitting here up 20%, over 20% in after hours. So let's switch over to SMCI. And give me 1 second. We're definitely going to talk about SMCI. I just wanted to post a couple things here. Let me see. Okay, we're going to flip over to SMCI. So the SMCI closed the regular session at $38.61. It was actually down almost 10% on the day. And let me just scroll over just a second. It did have an initial reaction, and I kind of feel like the earnings got leaked or something because they weren't supposed to report until 4:15 p.m. Eastern, and you can see this first negative reaction was around 4:06 p.m. Eastern. So a little early on that move. Who knows? Maybe it was just like some sort of liquidity grab in after hours, and then it's going to go the other way. But we'll see. Let me type in SMCI over here and see if we got some EPS and revenue data and perhaps some forward guidance. To be honest with you, I thought SMCI would have a more fantastical reaction, but it's basically sitting flat here in after hours. So doesn't look like it's too volatile either. Is there another move coming up? We're just gonna have to wait and see. Let me go back over here. And yes, Shai Balor on Twitter. And thank you, my friend. He's also part of our Discord group over here at PB Alerts. So Shai posted some good information for me over here for SMCI. We do have some outlook data and guidance and sales and EPS. So let me just post this on YouTube because I know there's a lot of people here for SMCI. Let me see how this comes out when I actually post this. It might look like a bunch of jumbled up data here if I post it on the bottom of my screen, but I'll go over this verbally with everyone. So sales came in 5.7 billion versus estimate of 5.9 billion. So they missed on sales. They also missed on EPS. It came in at 0.59. Estimate was 0.64. Gross margins, 12% versus the estimate of 13%. So it's, this is why they probably had an initial negative reaction. To be honest with you, they came in close. They missed by a little bit. It wasn't a lot. Kind of look at it maybe coming in line a little bit. I mean, they missed EPS by like 10%. And sales probably came in a little bit more in line, even though they missed that a little bit. as well. Little bit of outlook, Q3 outlook sales 5.5 billion versus estimate of 6.1 billion. So again, not really didn't really increase the outlook on that. EPS 0.52 versus estimate of 0.68. So this is why they're not catching a bid, y'all. Even the fiscal year 2025 outlook for sales came in at 24.2 billion, and the estimate was 28 billion. So they've kind of lowered guidance. I mean, I'm surprised they're not taking a hit here. Of course, their initial reaction was negative, and that's how investors reacted to this data. But you know, from the data I'm getting, they missed EPS, they missed revenue, and they lowered guidance a little bit. Why it's still kind of being propped up here, I'm really not that sure. But you know, of course, they have an earnings call with their CEO to talk about guidance for 2025 and stuff like that. So, you know, maybe, you know, and again, it's just kind of sitting here flat in after hours after making a negative reaction down to $31.12 a share. Dip buyers did step in and buy the dip, and now it's kind of just hanging out right here. But according to sales and EPS and outlook, I don't see anything special about this earnings. Okay, so, you know, SMCI bulls, you know, to be honest with you, I personally think this could be selling off right now, and it's not. So obviously there's a big investor of some sort or some underlying reason why the dip was bought on this, and now it's sitting flat. So we're just going to have to see if there's a secondary move when the CEO does the web call with investors. But it's almost 4:30 p.m. Eastern. We got our move on UPST. It's trading in the low 80s right now. So definitely congrats to the UPST bulls. Don't really see this reversing. You know, I would think it would reverse by now if this initial pump was not the real move, and it's kind of just hanging out here. This is the 5-minute chart. 1 minute probably looks like it's starting to trade sideways a little bit, but it is making higher lows and higher high here in after hours, after tapping 82.97 from closing the regular session at 67.34. So still just kind of chilling right here, up 20% in after hours. So again, congrats to the UPST bulls. If you bought any call options that were close to the money today, you should have a pretty damn good payday tomorrow morning when the opening bell rings for regular session. So congrats to the UPST bulls. I think you're probably going to be solid, okay, going into tomorrow. SMCI, again, there's just, I don't see anything great about their earnings. You know, I mean, the outlook was decreased. They missed sales, they missed EPS. Now sales and EPS and gross margins. Even though they missed, it was just by a little bit. You know, maybe there was some you know, deep pocket investors that thought it was going to be a lot worse than what was reported, and maybe that's why it's kind of just holding steady up here. So anyways, let me get the, I posted the SMCI Q2 data, and it was the sales, EPS, gross margins, and the outlook. So that's on the bottom of my screen right now for anyone who joined this stream for SMCI earnings. And let me just check back over to UPST just real quick. And I'm going to refresh my other screen. So anyways, UPSC starting to trade sideways a little bit, but you could probably draw a fib on this from the bottom of the low when the data was released to 82.97, and keep your eyes on some of these levels. 25% retrace from the most recent after hours highs, right around 79 bucks. So it's trading just under 82 right now. So moving forward, you know, maybe we get a little pullback like it did back here, and then maybe it keeps trending up going into tomorrow. We'll see. But, you know, some easy levels to keep in mind for the remainder of after hours would be 79, and then probably 77 and 75. So kind of $2 incremental levels there. And, you know, just make sure those levels don't break to the downside. And I think this very well could continue, maybe enter some sort of, you know, after it's done kind of rallying a little bit, maybe it enters some sort of consolidation phase or accumulation phase where it starts trading sideways, getting ready for another leg up. And those are some of the things we like to see as well. If it does start trading, maybe it starts pulling back a little bit, and then you'll notice the consolidation or accumulation or trading sideways phase, and you could even throw some put credit spreads below that and make some money there on some spreads if you wanted to. As far as that goes, looks like we got both reactions. So, unfortunately, SMCI, it's just still flat. Investors are still digesting the data, trying to figure out what their next move is going to be. I think the web call with SMCI's CEO is probably going to answer a lot of questions. And based on the price action going on right now, we very well could see a secondary move on SMCI once that web call happens. And UPST caught a bid. Congrats to the UPST bulls. SMCI, can't really congratulate anyone on this, the bulls or the bears, because it's just sitting flat. There's not much going on there. All right. So yeah, got over 3,000 people tuning in. Again, my name's the Swinging Bull, PB Alerts, and I always say at the end of every stream, if you're looking for a new home, check us out. There's some links in the description. I personally teach more advanced options strategies. So that's going to be your credit spreads and your debit spreads. I do condors. I run lots of the wheel strategy. That's been my bread and butter over the last several years. Just really consistent, and just make sure you do it on stocks you don't mind owning. Don't do it on crap biotech and therapeutic companies. That's definitely a recipe for disaster. But anyways, I do a lot of the advanced options, multi-leg. Some of my trades have 4 legs on them. And just a lot of options there to be able to manage those types of positions. We can turn spreads into butterflies and ironflies, and there's lots of fun management we can do instead of buying naked options, and there's really not much management you can do there. I mean, of course, you can cut the bleeding on naked options by selling some strikes against your open long position, and you can stop bleeding that way and stuff like that. So a little bit of management, but if you're not familiar with spreads, you wouldn't even know you'd be able to do that, right? So anyways, if you're looking for a new home, come check me out. Also in the Discord, we have a handful of other coaches. We got Mad Maverick, his name's Lee. And he does a lot of, maybe all you trade is stock and you swing trade stock and you don't even want to mess with options. Well, you want to go see Mad Maverick because he trades equity and swings equity. And he day trades options here and there too, but his main focus is swing trading equity. And then Coach Ethan, he day trades the opening move. All right. He basically just trades a handful of blue chips, and that's all he trades all year. And lots of NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple, a lot of the bigger names. That's mainly all he trades. And he just day trades the opening move in the morning, makes his money for the day, and then you can do whatever you want for the rest of the day, right? So that's kind of his style of trading. So we got a little something for everyone. So if you're interested, come check us out. Probably go ahead and end the stream here. It was nice hanging out with everyone. And yeah, if you end up joining the group, I look forward to meeting you. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their night, and I'll see everyone in the next stream. Cheers, y'all.